Oh my gosh, I feel like I've had like permanent chills in my body this whole time. Wow.
Hello, welcome to the Millennial Mystics.
Hi, Anita.
Hi.
We are so grateful to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely.
Anita Kopacz, my dear friend. She is the author of the Simon & Schuster fiction novel, Shallow Waters. It is the second title that Charlemagne the God released on his imprint, Black Privilege Publishing, no big deal. Anita is the former editor-in-chief of Heart and Soul magazine and managing editor of Beauty Sense magazine. She is an award-winning writer, a spiritual psychologist, and a certified tantra coach with a passion to see people thrive. Anita also created the nonprofit Zero F's Given to raise awareness and help victimized and disenfranchised populations heal from sexual trauma, find their voice, and reclaim their power. She has helped thousands of victims through her work with Zero F's Given and being on the board of the Center for Safety and Change. Through leading retreats around the world with the Goddess Wisdom Council, working with private clients and storytelling, Anita fulfills her intention to awaken the divine simplicity, pleasure, and joy in her life and others.
Wow.
Did I get all of it?
Good.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I think we want to start by just asking you, how does magic show up in your life?
Ooh. Magic shows up for me a lot with synchronicity. And I also pray that my lessons show up with magic. So I'm very conscious of it. So it shows up a lot. And I did say I'm going to start writing them down because it's just over and over and over. And when I'm like, oh, let me think of like an example, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't think of an exact example. I'm like, I have to write them down. But it really is like, I ask for the magic to come so strong that I have no question that it is magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes, I'm like, there it is. And so I would say that's really, it comes in with to me, synchronicity.
That's beautiful. With the Gemini, that makes sense. You got to write it down.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have a magical chart. We just have to name that off the bat.
Oh yeah.
And we're really excited to dive into that with you. And we do have some silly astrology questions to get started.
Okay.
What is your favorite and least favorite zodiac sign?
Oh gosh. Okay. That's a good question. What is my favorite? I mean, I'd have to say a Gemini probably is my favorite. Well, no. This is such a not a truth. I like me Gemini. But I think, I love Leos. I think they're wonderful. I do feel like Libras are wonderful too. I don't know. It's hard. And then least favorite. It's hard for me to say least favorite. You know what? It's funny. Least favorite might be other Geminis.
I love that answer. That's perfect Gemini. Perfectly, yes, on brand. I love that. Oh my goodness. And Leos makes sense because you're a Leo rising.
Gosh, not all, of course.
Yeah.
But
yeah, of course.
I've had some experiences.
Yes.
Well, we were going to actually ask you, who is your favorite Gemini icon?
Yeah.
Ooh, Marilyn Monroe, probably.
Excellent. She was on our list too. We will show you your chart. We're just going to briefly bring it up and kind of give you a quick tour of what you're looking at. And then Laura and I want to share just some of our thoughts after we looked at it.
Awesome. Yeah. And just in layman's terms with me.
Okay.
Well, I was telling Stephanie that I never saw your chart before, and it makes so much sense when I look at it. I'm like, of course.
I love that.
Yes.
I love it. I love the science that I just don't know it, but I love that there's a science behind it all.
Absolutely. So this is your chart. It's kind of like a pizza cut up into 12 sections. Each section represents a different part of your life or people in your life, experiences in your life. And depending on where the planets are, that can also show us if there's more increased activity in that part of your life and different themes that you may have gone through. So just the quick basics of your chart, you know you have a Gemini sun, but you are a Leo rising. So the way that you experience the world is through this lens of Leo. And it makes sense that you would feel seen and attract Leos into your life because there's that instant connection and recognition of energy and rapport. And you have a Pisces moon, which is very, very different from a Gemini sun. So we're definitely going to unpack those three placements. But this is what your chart looks like. Laura, do you have anything to add?
I mean, it looks like that 10th house is packed.
Oh, yeah. Yes. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into like what the focus is for you this coming year. But I was telling Stephanie, whenever I go somewhere with you, immediately like everyone is attracted to you and it's like everyone turns around and is like, who is that? And I'm like, that makes so much sense because the ruler of your Leo rising is in Gemini in your 11th house next to Venus. So you have something very special in astrology called a Venus cazimi. So like your sun and how you radiate to people is immediately attractive. Like the way you speak, the way you write, the way just your presence, like you don't even have to do anything. And people are like, who is that? And I'm like, of course, Anita has this in her chart.
It's pretty rare. So a cazimi is essentially when one of the planets is sitting in the heart of the sun. So you can think of it as like sitting in a chair or a throne and it's elevated in some way. And
it gave me chills.
Yeah. So anything that's Venusian, right? Because Venus is the planet that is getting this like boost from the sun, has extra luck and eminence and radiance in your life. So like Laura was saying, Venusian activities, writing, storytelling, this is all coming through in the sign of Gemini. So exchanging information, gathering information, connecting with people is really, really, really big.
Yes, it is very much. I consider myself a storyteller. That's one of the things that I identify with the most. And then I do love to connect with people.
We were noticing too that Venus rules over your 10th house of career and legacy, and also your 3rd house of it's like communication, writing, and social media. So the more you express and the more you do it in a Venusian way, it's like automatically things and people are attracted to you. So it's very lucky. I was like, of course, that's it. Like Anita's signature.
Something else that really stood out to me was you have such a public chart. So like you said, that 10th house is really packed. And that's the tippy top of our chart. So that's where we're being seen, right? There's this draw, like you may feel like throughout different periods of your life that people are drawn to you, you know, that there might be also like this pressure to show up, to shine. And this tug and pull between, okay, I'm here, I'm meant to be seen, I'm meant to take up space, but internally there can be a feeling of like, I just want to retreat. I would like some solitude. I would like my peace. So like kind of going back and forth between those states.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But you need to, like, because you're such a public chart, because you're a day chart, so your sun is very strong. And because you demand a lot of attention from others, like you have to spend a lot of time retreating and caring for your moon, which is in Pisces. So getting into spirituality and releasing and cleansing and working with water too is going to be, which we'll get into in a second, because I told Stephanie about your book, which is about Black mermaids.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course she has a Pisces moon in the 8th house, squaring all of your Gemini stuff. So you are telling the story that's meaningful to your people and your pantheon of gods and goddesses and deities, but but it's in a clash with certain people's ideology about what mermaids should look like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And, you know, I've always been a water baby. I would float in the ocean for hours. I would, you know, be in our swimming pool all day. Like I was in the water all day when it was the summer. And so I've always felt very connected to mermaids and just water beings, you know, even like the fish, and I love all of that. And I think that, you know, as a child, I was probably a lot more Piscean. Is that a thing to say?
Yeah, yeah.
I was very quiet and very observant. And I sucked these two fingers. So I'd suck my fingers and just watch people. And I would just sit there and be very, very, very deep in my worlds. And you know, I see spirits, and I've been doing readings since I was little, and so I've been connected in that way for a long time.
Yeah.
And but then it did feel like, okay, I have to, like you said, be out there and shine. Like there was like this switch that happened probably, I want to say, in my 20s.
Do you think your late 20s?
Late 20s.
Okay. The reason I ask is because you have Saturn in the sign of Leo, and Saturn is a planet of restriction, challenge, growing pains. And Leo is the planet that wants to shine and take up space. But when it's in Saturn, there's like, we feel a restriction and some difficulty to take up space, right? But once you reach your Saturn return, which would happen towards your late 20s,
yep,
that's like, I call it the cosmic quinceañera. It is like a turning point, and you start to embody more of who you really are meant to be, and you own your responsibility of how you want to show up in the world.
Woo! Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
I have chills. I'm sure.
And your moon in Pisces is just so beautiful. When I saw it in the 8th house, having a moon in Pisces is already like a direct link to spirit, the other realms. But to have it in the 8th house, this is a house of etherealness, of mystery, of the occult even. So I call this placement like energetic sponges. You're just like able to absorb everything. So having those like protective self-care rituals, whether it's like when you're scrubbing yourself in the shower, like a daily kind of like need some kind of cleanse is very important, because you could just walk in a room and be like, you got in a fight with someone, maybe something's happened at work with you, you know, just know.
Exactly. And when I was younger, I made up this thing, which I actually use to this day, where I just say, please wash away all of the energies of the day. And like, that's what I used to say when I was little. And it still goes on in my head when I do it. Please wash away all the negative energies of the day. And you know what's so interesting? I don't know if it's true, or you know, my imagination is extremely active. But when I was a child at my elementary school, there were definitely witches that were teaching there. And they would look out for me. And it was, I knew them. I'd be like, you're a witch, right? Like, they'd be like,
oh my God.
It's very, like, this was a long time ago. And so it was a time when if you call someone a witch, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't always taken well. But when I tell you, these women at my school, they were witches, and they would look out for me. And I was like, where are they from? And how is this? But it was definitely more just my elementary school.
Oh, I love that. That's fascinating, because the part of your chart that represents like our elementary school years is the 3rd house, and you have Pluto there. And Pluto is this planet of also kind of like occulty things, I would say. Pluto's the lord of the underworld, right? So there's death, there's transformation, there's sorrow, there's grief, but there's the resiliency to alchemize your pain and what you've gone through and really empower, you know, and turn that soil into riches for you. But to also have these figures in your life who are kind of plutonic, witches, I would say, you know, it's really interesting to see the symbolism reflected like that.
Yeah, I love that. And for a long time, I was very obsessed with death, which is so funny. But I would always like tell my mom, I'm so excited. We all get to do it. And I guess I was trying to explain to her that it's when it happens, it feels you know, like I was like, it's the best feeling you'll ever feel in the world. And I guess I was trying to tell her it feels like orgasmic, but of course I didn't know what orgasmic meant, you know? Yeah. And I was like, it's the best thing you ever feel when it happens, when you leave and we all get to do it. And she'd be like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. That is so Pisces moon in the 8th. Unreal.
Yes. Oh my God. But also I would say the North Node in Scorpio in your 4th house. Yeah. So right now you're going through something called the nodal reversal. So you have the North Node in Scorpio right now, and in the sky, the South Node is in Scorpio. So you have it reversed. And the North Node is a point of increasing. So it's like in this lifetime, you decided, I want to learn more about scorpionic ideas and themes, like power. And it's in your 4th house. Yeah, and like rebirth and transformation and transmutation. It's the sign of the alchemist. And the 4th house is ancestors, home, and roots. So it also makes sense that you're so connected to your ancestors and like transmuting any wounds that you might have had from previous lifetimes or in your ancestral lineage. This is the time your soul decided, like, it ends with me, and it ends with the work.
Wow. And I totally said that to my mom too. I was like, well, not necessarily just in that way, but I was like, this is my last time coming here. And I said, this is my last time coming here, so I have to get it all right.
Wait, Stephanie, you said that too.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, recently. Mm-hmm. Everything Laura said is so incredibly on point. And like she said, you're going through your nodal reversal right now. So in the sky, that means the nodes are flipped. You can think of the nodes as like they're 2 calculated points in the sky, but they have to do with fate and destiny. So of course we all have free will, even with astrology. But when the nodes are kind of involved, it's kind of like, okay, fate's taking over. And so this may be like an 18-month period of your life that started November 2021. That just feels more fated, or like people that you're meeting, people may be entering and exiting your life, and those connections may feel more karmic than normal, especially when it comes to home and family, private life, and public and career. So you might be making some like really big, your career, we have a lot of questions because there's some really exciting activity going on. So I want to know, and you don't have to tell us if you can't, but do you have a book in the works?
I do.
Ooh, exciting.
I do. And it's funny because it's really about everything we're talking about right now. It's about the goddess Oya, who is Yemeya's daughter. And Oya is the goddess of the storm. She also stands at the gates of death. So if you want to speak to your ancestors, you go through Oya in order to speak to your ancestors. And she's extremely powerful. She's said to be unbeatable. She's the only, is she the only one? I think she might be the only female warrior Orisha. And so she's a warrior and unbeatable warrior. So she's a powerful being, and you know, like that her color is purple, right? So that's who who I'm writing about right now. So it's definitely a powerful process.
With what Laura was talking about with the North Node in Scorpio and your fourth and that connection to the ancestors. I mean, it's very, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm. And so for 2023, well, so I would like back up a little bit. I think since 2021 to now, you've had this huge explosion in your career because you've had the North Node going through your 11th house, which is where your Sun, Venus, and Mercury are. You have a Mercury that's super powerful because it's in its own sign, Gemini. And so you have this stellium of planets in the 11th, and then you had the North Node going through there. So like 2021 to 2022, like big explosion of who you are. People knew who you are. And I think you were on the Drew Barrymore show, right? Like you went places. You were like in media. And then that's going to continue this year, obviously, because you're going through your Jupiter return. So after May of this year, Jupiter is going to enter the sign of Taurus, which is your 10th house. Again, the highest point of your chart. This is what we're known for. This is our legacy. So from like May to May 2024, this is the time to like, not that you don't already, but like get out there, tell people who you are, be on TV, be on podcasts, like do all the things, because your career is about to like explode.
Jupiter amplifies anything it touches. So the fact that it's moving through the public sector of your chart is going to bring more emphasis to this part of your life. Your Jupiter return, like Laura said, that is more rare. That's something that happens every 12 to 13 years. So if you can think back to 12 to 13 years ago, what were your dreams at that time? What were your seedlings that you were planning, that you were hoping to bring into the world? Now you've probably, that's a big question, like, that requires more reflection, but you can probably look back and say, oh my gosh, I've accomplished some dreams, right? Like through this whole Jupiter cycle. So now is like this period for gratitude and reflection, but also what are your next seeds that you're planning? Where, what growth do you want to see and embody? It's a very fortunate time. And it also, I think having Jupiter move through the 10th can mean that big life events happen as well. If you're having shifts in any other areas of your life, it's an important time for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm excited because I've been, for me, it's like a creative cave almost like, because I'm writing my book. I also am writing a TV show for my sister it's amazing. And so we're now just about to start going out to start selling it. And so it does feel like there are a lot of things that I've been working on that now we're like, woo, kind of giving breath to and allowing more people to know about it. And so, I'm glad to see that luck is on my side with those.
Yes. And May, like that's going to be a huge time period for you, not just because Jupiter enters this part of your chart, but we'll also be going through a Mercury retrograde, which should not be feared. So don't worry. There's a lot of fear mongering about Mercury retrograde, but they're wonderful opportunities for us to slow down and reassess, and really engage in active rest and take our time to think about like, how do we want to move forward with whatever projects we're bringing to life at this moment in time? So there's going to be extra emphasis around whatever you are working on in your career. May 9th, the sun and Uranus, the sun is going to like shine light on this part of your chart. Uranus is the planet of shock, surprises, sudden news, breakthroughs. And it's going to activate your Jupiter and the midheaven, which is the angle in your chart that represents the tippy top of your chart. So there's this extra moment coming around May 9th for you. So, and that's all during the retrograde. So I think that's a beautiful time to, just really turn inward and reflect, like pause and say, okay, what are my next steps?
All right. I'm excited.
Yeah.
You're an intuitive person, and the fact that your moon is ruled by Jupiter and your Jupiter is in your 10th house, like, because they speak to each other. So like the more you can listen to your intuition and more in what you don't see, and like just trust yourself. I know like everybody says that in spirituality, but I know that you do. So I feel like just keep listening to the signs and synchronicities, because Jupiter, like the planet, is about also generosity and protection. That just know that you will be protected in anything you do, and that it will guide you in your career choices.
Okay.
It's a planet of support. You're right. That protective energy. Yeah.
I love that. I've never heard of that, like Jupiter being protective. That I love that. And then what signs does Jupiter rule? Who?
Pisces and Sagittarius.
Pisces.
So because you have a Pisces moon, your moon is speaking to that Jupiter in your 10th house in Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think something else that stood out when I was looking at your chart is just to name that we have ended this grueling Mars retrograde period in the sign of Gemini. And because you have so many planets in Gemini, that may have felt more personal too. So if there were setbacks, frustrations, especially in like your community or, projects, wishes, hopes, dreams of what you're trying to build, and just feel like, oh my gosh, relentless. Like, when is this going to stop? It has stopped. We're almost at the tail end. So,
and how long was that? Did you say
7 months? It was there for 7 months.
Yes.
I feel that.
Yeah. It would be way more personal for you because of your Gemini planets. So this all started in August, and then the retrograde began in October. So we started to feel more of the frustrations build then. It started to slowly pick up speed and move direct January 12th. So there may have been some kind of conflict shift or something, some big shift around that time. And now we're slowly just kind of like putting the rest of the puzzle pieces where they belong. And March 25th, Mars finally leaves Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we're almost there.
Almost
there.
Yeah.
Almost there.
But I'm curious, do you have any questions about your birth chart or any specific questions about like life? Like, what do you see for this?
Okay. Ooh, I like this. This is so awesome. This show is awesome, by the way. It's like, I love it.
We're so honored that you said yes, because your chart is a perfect example of how you are living your birth chart. Like, you're living your planets.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What can support me in my creative endeavors?
Ooh.
Is that something that can be answered?
I think so. We can take a look at your 5th house.
Yeah. Okay. So Sagittarius is your 5th house. And there's no planets right now moving through there. But again, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and your Jupiter is in Taurus. So the more you can do more Venusian earth things, like, I know these are so literal, but like getting your hands dirty, planting, working with flowers, working with Gaia, earth energy, gardening, if that's your thing, eating great nutritious food, because Taurus is food and what you put in your mouth. Do you have any suggestions, Steph?
So Jupiter rules your 5th house, which is the place of creativity, like Laura said. And with having it be in the sign of Taurus at the tippy top of your chart, I think the more you share your creativity and your creative process, and you allow yourself to be public, even if it's not like quote unquote perfect, that is going to be supportive as well. Just to show up and be visible throughout the process.
Okay.
Be helpful. With the Jupiter return, which takes place exactly, let me get you the date, on April 10th of 2024, but you're going to start to notice the seedlings of it on May 16th of this year. This is the return, the 12-year return of your creativity, right? Because Jupiter rules your 5th house. So this is a moment to really, it's no wonder you're already starting to think and ruminate on this question and like, how can I support your creativity? This is going to be a moment of rebirth and reflection. And it's built.
Okay.
Can I also offer another thing?
Yeah.
Like Leo is your first house and it's your body and it's you. And Leo rules the heart space. And you have Mars on your ascendant, which is literally your body. And so people with Mars on the ascendant, they channel their energy through exercising or like doing some kind of physical activity. And since it's in the sign of Leo, which rules the heart, maybe doing some kind of like cardio or like pumping up the heart. That energy. I don't know how, I know we take yoga together, but maybe, I mean, and you do dance. So something.
I do, but it's so funny you say that because I've been thinking that I want to start running again.
So I also have Mars and Leo in the first house. And the way that I also I love to dance and I used to be a runner. And so I think those are absolutely some great ways to kind of tap into the energy and like also release anxiety and unneeded, energy that's within. But also actively engaging with your inner child or inner teen in some way. Like, what did teenage Anita want to do, but felt like you couldn't show up in that way or take up space in that way? Like, it sounds so cliche, but like I will literally proactively go to a park and swing on a swing once a week or climb a tree or, just doing something that kind of helps you get back into. Leo has this, they want to shine and they want to spread joy. They want to help others and uplift, right? Taking yourself back to a moment in your childhood or activities in your childhood that really brought you that joy can kind of just switch your perspective almost like on a dime.
Okay. I love that. I do still take tap class, which is what I love to do as a teenager, but I have been feeling like an art class would be good.
Ooh.
Laura, if you want to come do, like, we can maybe find an art class to do.
Yes, I would love to.
Oh, I was thinking like ceramics or something.
Yes.
I'm signing up for a ceramics class.
Wait, where are you? Are you by us?
California. I can FaceTime.
On the other side.
Yeah. And one other thing I have to say about Leo Mars in the first house, and maybe it's just me, but I am the most accident prone. Like if there is like a corner, I'm going to hit it, like constant. So I don't know if that resonates for you.
That's how I was when I was younger, like completely.
Yeah.
That's what I was. They used to say I was like a baby giraffe.
Relatable. Yes. Yes. Well, there's a lot of energy in that placement. So it's like, if we're going somewhere, if we make up our mind, it's like, boom, I'm doing it. This is where I go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what's in our way.
Yes, exactly. Doors be damned. Shall we pull cards, or Laura, do you have anything else about the chart that we want to?
No, I think this is your year, Anita. Like I'm 100% behind you, and like we are just so excited for what's to come this year. I think dreaming big is an understatement. I think literally the world is your oyster.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'm going to echo that. With Jupiter in your 10th house, just go as big as you can. Yeah, don't limit yourself in any way. There's no need to limit yourself. Fixed signs, Leo is a fixed sign, have been having a really difficult time since March of 2020 in particular. Saturn entered Aquarius, but you're free of that now. And so this is a time for expansion and growth.
All right. I'm ready. I'm ready.
We're each going to pull a tarot card for you. Whatever comes out, right? Or do you want to know something specifically? Okay, whatever comes out.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Okay. I got the Chariot.
Ooh.
So the Chariot, for anyone who is unfamiliar, is a card of action, of determination, of willpower, of full, going for it. So literally exactly what we were talking about. I would say it's cosmic confirmation. And it's also, I believe it's linked with the sign Cancer. And next year, the moon, which is Cancer sign, is going to be the planet that's in charge for your birth chart that year. Every year we get a planet that's in charge. So if you read your horoscope, pay attention to what the moon is doing. Full moons, lunar eclipses, those are going to be big moments for you. And I think that is just kind of emphasizing that as well.
Yes. And I'm actually holding, well, usually when I do spiritual work or when I feel like it's a conversation where I feel like, just connected to spirit, I'm holding a Merkaba, which this is an ancient Egyptian geometry basically, and it is basically called the divine chariot.
OMG.
Yeah.
Full body chills.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No big deal.
You were, that's so, in the beginning you were like, the way magic shows up in my life is loud. Like I ask for loud signs. Like, oh my gosh, you cannot get any louder than that.
Yes, you can't.
So the card that I picked, which is so interesting because it's another major arcana, is the Emperor. And this is ruled by Aries, and Aries rules your 9th house. And right now Jupiter is in your 9th house, which is why Stephanie was like, are you writing a book? Because it's the house of publishing. And so the Emperor in Tarot is really about standing in your own power, taking agency over your life, in your own sovereignty, and having the confidence to build your empire. I think of this as like the bad bitch card. Like, nothing's gonna stop me. I believe in myself. I've been through all of this shit, and now I'm gonna integrate those lessons to build my empire. 4 is the number of foundations. 4 in numerology is all about like knowing solidly like who you are, and then from there like anything's possible. So
wow.
Anna, major happenings over here.
That's huge. I always say that when the major arcana cards come through, it's like literally a spirit. It's someone on your team. That's
Yeah, absolutely. I feel it. I feel my ancestors. I'm looking at my ancestral altar over there. That's all I feel that. Yes, this has been amazing. I mean, I can't, I don't even, I feel like I'm definitely going to have time to like integrate all of the information that just came through. And I was actually driving yesterday, and I had the thought, I was like, why do I feel such a calling to share myself, right? Like, I'm like, why can't I just be like in my room and, like, even if it's just writing, like, I'm like, why? Because there is that part of myself that's introverted. Maybe it's my Pisces. I don't know. But I'm like, why can't I just do that? It just feels like literally I'm always being called to like, oh, I learn a lesson, share it. Right.
Yes. That is, if I could summarize your chart in a sentence, like that is it. Like, yes. You're meant to share your stories and your life experiences on a broad and wide scale.
Okay.
Because like we were saying, Jupiter is the planet of generosity. So when you receive abundance and generosity, you have to give it back. That's just how Jupiter works. It's like the law of reciprocity, the law of giving and receiving. Like when you receive something, Jupiter's like, Anita, you got to share that story.
Yes. Yeah. I feel it. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've had like permanent chills in my body this whole time. Wow. I'm so excited for this show. You all are going to blow the fuck up.
Thank you.
Thank you
for being here.
Thank you for being one of our very first inaugural guests. We are so honored to have read your chart. I feel like personally honored to have read such a magical chart. And thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing it with us. And I can't wait to see how the blessings unfold. So please keep us updated.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
what you're creating right now, it's to put all of your focus on this timeline and what you're doing now. And the thing that I feel like that's coming into your life that's going to change your life is actually like a collaboration with either a person or people from like a corporation who is going to like give you money or finance you or support you financially in order for you to create the thing that you want to create. And I feel like it's something very big because your current energy is showing up as the 8 of materials. And the 8 of materials is the 8 of Pentacles in traditional tarot. And that's all about industry and really like, it's a Virgo, it's a sun in Virgo, which is like, Virgos are super busy and they try to get all of their ideas in a physical way, very practical. It's not sexy energy. It's like the least sexy energy out of all the signs. Like we need to
Virgin-esque.
yes, we need to get very practical and like very realistic about what we're building here, because again, like this is bigger than you. This is like and I know from our last reading, you're being asked to show up in a bigger way and maybe you feel a little reluctant, but your soul has decided in this lifetime, thanks soul, that you are a leader and you are going to be the face of along with your soul family, obviously, like not putting all the pressure on you, but a lot of people look to you for advice and inspiration. And so in order for you to really catalyze a movement, this has to be done in a practical way. And the number 8 is you, self, power, abundance. And if there's any abundance blocks, you have to clear that like immediately, because in order for you to receive like this the big money that's in your aura, you need to also know like how to hold it, how to really use it. And because also Pluto moved into your 7th house of one-on-one partnerships. So I see either one person or 2 people. I do see a man, so it could be a man who's like ahead of this team that is like offering you this thing to be ahead of, like either like a creative development thing or the head of like a publishing something. These are just words that I hear in my head. So I don't know if you are waiting for this or you're currently in discussions with people, but this is coming and it's huge. But also on the flip side of that, there is a little bit of a warning, because when your light shines brighter and brighter as you keep growing and become more famous, because I mean, you're already famous, but like even more famous. And I don't know your relationship to fame, like notoriety and Angela Davis fame. There are going to be like shadow walkers like lingering in your aura. And I feel like you kind of feel it already. There's like somebody like that is not in alignment with you anymore. And if you haven't met this person yet, I feel like you know how to deal with those kind of people, because I'm sure you've dealt with these kind of people.
I've definitely dealt with those kind of people, yes.
Yeah. I feel this like waiting energy from you, like you're waiting for your big break, you're waiting for something, you're waiting for somebody to give you something. And again, I see people coming with a fat check or like an opportunity that's going to change even the way you're living and your abundance, because also Pluto in the 7th house is like a wealthy figure, changing your relationships with your one-on-one relationships with people. So if you're at the bottom, which I don't think you're at the bottom, I think you're somewhere like over here, just know that your time is coming and that it's just a matter of time. Because I also asked Spirit, like, how do you want Anita to show up? And you got Kairos in the archetypes, and Kairos talks about mythic time and divine timing and synchronicity. So there's stuff that you don't see behind. I know that's super frustrating. Stuff that you don't see behind the scenes that need to be in alignment. Like the people who are like figuring this all out for you, or like the opportunity that is meant for you needs to be right for you to receive it. And there's a lot of blue in your reading too, which talks about like intuition. So I feel like you know this. I feel like you can feel it, you can see it. I feel like you can see to the future. So I feel like nothing I'm saying is not something that you already know. But you know, sometimes even with readers and like psychic people, we also need human confirmation that it's like not all in our head. So
Exactly.
reconfirming what you're feeling. And so this is really, the challenge really is to just trust in the divine timing. And I know your divine timing, you might have been waiting for like 10 years and you're like, what the fuck? But but I feel like you're on the end of that divine timing.
Yeah. Like it's almost here, or whatever the thing is that, yeah, it's, I mean, and you're so on point, by the way, with everything. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I think the double meaning here does apply to you. Like, don't be too attached that like you miss out on the other possibilities, because it's going to come in a way that you don't plan at all. It's going to be a surprise. But also like lean into your magnetism and lean into your creative energy and your fire energy, because you're going to attract the people that are aligned with your mission for who you are and your creativity. So basically, you're a mirror for people. You trigger people. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable saying that to you. You don't trigger me, but you trigger people.
Yes.
I'm also a fire rising person, but my sun is in fire, and once a week, it's not sexy at all. I have a little Weber grill, like a mini one in my backyard, and I just burn things. I burned the cease and desist.
This is my confession that I'm a pyro.
I know. No, I'm such a pyro. I burn things, and I don't know, there's something about the burning and watching it turn to ash that like feels healing to me.
Yeah.
Relationships are a huge theme in your reading, because I asked about your current energy and you got connection. So the frequency of connection supports our ability to find alignment and resonance with others, things, and ideas. And you got counsel of light, divine orchestration, helpers in the subtle realms. But I also feel like, because you also got the lovers at the bottom of the deck, which is about partnerships. And again, Pluto moving into your 7th house, I think collaborating with powerful people is going to help up level your career. And so I don't know how you feel about that, or waiting for that kind of opportunity. Yeah, but that's definitely like what's going to happen in, I think, the near future. And your cards, when I was like, I also pay attention to like how fast they come out. Your cards were like coming out really fast. So that means like fast energy, fast notification, fast messages. So I think this is all happening fairly quickly. But I don't do readings for like 3 months in advance. I do like what's current now, like what's happening energetically now. Because like energy changes like so much that you just never know. So I think with the 3 of Swords coming out in that position, and your advice being the Justice card, I think it is like you might have to cut people off. Also, I don't know if you need me to explain this, but you have Saturn in Leo at 1 degree.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, which is directly opposing this Pluto that's just going into Aquarius today. And that's power plays. That's like people trying to like control you, oppress you. Like it's kind of a difficult transit. So that's why I think all of this messaging is coming out, to just be aware.
Okay. Message received.
But I feel like when you up level in life, there's always going to be those cockroaches.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's like almost like inevitable with shining brightly.
I would wonder if there's some sort of, so
Saturn, which is the planet that rules your one-on-one relationships, is in your first house of self and identity. So I wonder if like what's been bubbling up recently almost feels like you have to release an old version of yourself or pieces or ways of being. You know, it's not just like letting go of someone. It's like saying goodbye and mourning old versions of you in some way.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more depth and intensity there. Oppositions in astrology, so since these are sitting across each other in the sky, they have the nature of challenges, responsibility, reality checks, you know, whatever was kind of like an illusion or what we had like been pushing through or hoping for, were met with the hard truth in some way. Then January 21st of next year, Pluto is going to re-enter Aquarius, and that's going to bring you right back to March 23rd because it's the same exact degree, but in a more profound way. Okay. So this will be the second hit. There's only 3 hits of this.
Might as well do 3 more. I mean,
yeah. This is a big one. This is a really big one though. So just to cosmically affirm, like, you know, if you are feeling that heaviness associated, this isn't just like, oh, you're going to be fine. It's like, no, this is, karmic for sure.
Definitely feels karmic.
So I would say the beginning dates, the first couple of dates is kind of like the storyline and the arc is building, right? You're building towards the climax. When Pluto goes retrograde, those are more internal shifts inside where you're integrating the knowledge, the wisdom, the changes in a new way. And the final pass in 2025, I know that sounds like a long ways away, but I would see that almost as like Pluto's also this a powerful planet of like empowerment and alchemy. So I would see this as like a phoenix moment almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very much.
Okay. So this is, a longer story, and it's definitely, you know, you can see it in your chart.
Okay. Wow. That was on point.
Okay. Do you want to should we just do some card pulls?
Yeah, sure.
I got the 10 of Wands.
Oh, wow.
So 10 of Wands is almost complete for the wand cycle in the deck, but not just yet. This guy is carrying a whole bunch of stuff on his shoulders. And this is a card of responsibility, of keeping course, of moving forward, but I think also of exhaustion and grief and just acknowledging that you've been working really, really hard. You know, when I see the 10 of Wands, I think like every area of your life you might be undergoing some sort of transformation or crisis, and you're pushing against the odds to get through. This is a sign you can see in the little corner there, the town that he's going to. So he's almost there, right? But I think it is a card of encouragement, like you're almost there, keep going, but it is also an important reminder to care for yourself as needed along the way. I don't know if the creators of this deck would agree with me, but I would say this guy could maybe put the wands down and tend to himself, like living in a society that is just like go, go, go and constant. It's, it's not healthy. So just tending to yourself and the process and naming that if you are going through difficult situations right now, you can put words to that and own that. It doesn't have to be like, put a smile on, well, Leo rising, like I'll make you laugh, like everything's fine. This is a time to ask for support and just care for yourself as needed. And also just trust the process because you are so close.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. It does feel like, even with everything, even the creative endeavors, like everything feels like it's almost there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things are happening, like amazing things are happening, but it's so interesting how a lot of them are almost there. Like it almost feels like if everything blooms at the same time, it's going to be super overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm almost there with so many things.
Yeah.
And but I do also have faith that it's all going to be in divine timing.
Yeah.
You know, because it is, you know, like things are blooming, and I can see how I got news this week that another thing is blooming. So it's just like, okay, because with each bloom is more work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
It's a blessing. Thank you. It's definitely a blessing, and thank you. But it is, you know, I have to just make sure, you know, I'm a human, not having an AI write my book, you know.
Right. We're dipping our toes into eclipse season at the moment. We're inching our way there. The first eclipse is April 19th.
Okay.
And that's taking place in Aries, which is in your 9th house of publishing. After that, you know, eclipse season lasts like 3-ish weeks or so. That's like fate takes over and we're just along for the ride. But slowly after, you know?
It's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, it's a little bit, you know, some chaotic energy, you know, endings and beginnings that feel very fated. But once Jupiter enters Taurus, you're going to be experiencing those blooms that you are, you know, feeling inside. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that card was on point too. I was thinking that today because I was just like, just thinking like, I mean, just when I was like putting water in my water bottle, I was just like, thank you, God, that I have clean water to drink. And just like really going into the gratitude, because it's like, I feel like I'm working so hard and so hard. And I'm just like, oh, people are working so hard around the globe for so much less. It's just I was just having, I guess, a moment of deep and profound gratitude.
Yeah.
Even though I was in the working so hard, poor me.
Yeah. But that can coexist, and that's healthy and normal and human. And like part of the beauty of being alive, right? Is witnessing those two dualities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any particular questions, or do you want just like advice?
I think just advice would be good. Yeah.
Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords is the first card of the suit. Swords are mental energy, writing, communicating, self-expression, ideas, acting on ideas. So if you have had any, you know, breakthrough, just curiosities, even just synchronicities, symbols, signs, like when you are thinking about an idea and like a hawk flies in front of your car or something like that, you know, just pay attention to what you're thinking about. It's most likely something you should move forward with and probably pursue. But yeah, this is like the gestation and the beginning of a very powerful and, you know, I think quick movement when I see the swords too. So it could be a very exciting, innovative, and expansive idea for you. But I feel like something in the future, there's going to be another blossom to bloom.
Okay.
With this. Yes.
Yes. And can I see the card again? Was there like
of
air?
Course.
Was there air in it or no?
Yes. Yeah. So, so there's a hand holding the sword, and then there's this,
Air clouds or
wind behind it with that momentum. And, you know, the crown and some leaves adorn the top of it. I just think of, like a strong idea, you know, a lofty idea, something that could elevate you in some way. Yeah.
next novel that I'm writing is about the goddess of the wind. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I see the crown and the wind. I was like, is that wind?
Oh my gosh. I just have chills on my brain. Not even on my head. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well,
so
can't wait for you to write about her, clearly.
I can't wait. She can't wait. I was in the Catskills last weekend, and we went out into the forest, and I'd never felt the wind feel like this. I don't think my whole life. Like the wind was so strong. It was like howling and moving so strong. But in New York, usually if there's wind, it's a chill, right? Like it's cold, right? Like this wind was not cold. It wasn't hot either. It was just like, it felt like I could just be there with, not trying to like cover myself up. Like it felt like it wanted to like go through us. I just have never, and it was responding to us. It was just like, I was like, okay, all right, wind.
Yeah, you can't have a more clear confirmation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you so much. You are awesome. I'm excited to see what this all turns into.
Thank you.
You're doing an amazing thing.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to have met you and be connected with you. So take care.